So today, I'm going to be talking to you about the filing and adoption of final addresses at the end of a trial. After the court has heard the arguments from but from both sides in a civil trial, so from the defendant and from the claimant, the next stage of proceedings is for the parties to now um, file and adopt their final addresses. Final addresses, or what may also be referred to as a closing address, is basically a summary of the arguments of both sides, a summary of the cases of both sides, which they now present to the court to, make one last persuasion of the court to give the ruling in their favor. Now, what's the order in which final addresses are to be filed? Now, the order is as follows. Whichever party ends the trial will file final address first. All right, the party that goes last at trial will file final address first. And after the other party files their final address, the party who filed first would have a right of reply on points of law only. So that's the sequence. Whichever party goes last at trial files final address first. And after the other party files their own final address, the first party to file will have a right of reply on points of law only. So now, if at the trial, after the claimant makes his case, the defendant now also opens his own defense, then within 21 days of the defendant closing his evidence, the defendant would file final address. And then within 21 days of being served with the defendant's final address, the claimant files the claimant's final address. And then within 7 days of being served with the claimant's final address, the defendant would have a right of reply on points of law only. Now, if on the other hand, at trial, the claimant goes first and closes his evidence, and the defendant chooses not to make any defense. So the defendant is adopting the claimant's case as his own, all right? He's chosen to adopt the claimant's case as his own. Then within 21 days of closing his evidence, the claimant will file final address. And then within 21 days of being served with the claimant's final address, the defendant would file his own final address. And then within 7 days of being served with the claimant's final address, with the defendant's final address, the claimant would have a right of reply on points of law only. So that's the sequence with which final addresses are filed, all right? Again, a good way to remember it is to remember that the one who goes last at trial is the one who would file final address first. And after the other party files their own final address, the one who filed first would have a right of reply on points of law only. So I hope you've learned something new from that bit, and I see you again some other time. Bye for now.